Wilson Mineray, and I can always remember him. He used to have trouble in the front row at the odd time, and he used to say to me, you know, Piney, can you help us out? And I used to say to him, you should get your head out of the road, Skip, I'll fix the bastard. I only said get the head out of the road because the first time I did it, I hit him.
That's show. We don't see a lot of fighting in sevens, but I want to congratulate you on becoming rugby's newest knight and a well-deserved honour. And I know that you've got the key to Tauranga now, courtesy of Ed Crosby. Baypark has been renamed in your honour, the Gordon Tietjens Field. Or do you have to change the name again, Mayor, to the Sir Gordon Tietjens Field, or did you wait long enough so that happened? Tietjens Pitch. It's a great name. But Titch, the Sevens World Series and Sevens Rugby, looking at it now, we're 3 years out from an Olympic Games, and you're just about to unveil your first squad of the year. It's funny to think that 19 years ago, Titch was the first speaker at this function, and it was the first year you coached New Zealand Sevens. So 19 years in this hot seat. But I know I wouldn't go too hard on you, mate, because you're strict on diet. But what is the worst thing that one of your players has ever done that you have witnessed?
That's a good question, but we're pretty good usually over on tour, and I'd really battle to find out what the worst thing someone's done. If we talk about a little bit about nutrition, probably we set some pretty strict rules around nutrition. In other words, you can't eat anything fried, and certainly ice cream's off the menu. And I always remember we were over in Las Vegas actually, and we're at dinner. We were all eating the same dining hall, 16 teams, and we finished our meal, the management, and half the players. And I sort of looked back, and there were 2 or 3 players that deliberately stayed back while we left the dining room, and one of the guys that I knew quite well, one of the players, and I won't mention his name because I'll probably get back to him. But anyway, we disappeared, and I stood by the lift around the corner deliberately because I felt something was on. I went back as if I'd forgotten something, and this particular player plus the other 2 had filled their bowls up with ice cream. And when I walked around the back of the table, they were sort of over covering the plates like that, you know, and for the next, I think at the completion of that tour, because they had ice creams, they got fined, because we fined them quite heavily from the players, because that's something that we buy into as a team, and we're quite strict, because I think nutrition plays a massive part in how we perform, and these guys had to buy, after the completion of every tournament, by every one of the players for the next 6 or 7 tournaments ice cream. So it cost them in the end, but it was. I suppose that's not probably too bad in the context of what other teams can get up to in tour, but outside that, not much.
Ice cream crime. It's a real threat, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real threat.
If I can just ask a quick question, Titch. I'll set the scene for you. It's the gold medal round of the Rio Olympics. The Kiwis, they're up against the Americans. It's halftime, you're ahead 8-1. What do you say to them at halftime? What do you say? Is there any sort of historical allusion you might make? Is it in the bag? Have you got it? Can you already feel the weight of the gold medal around you?
We fucking won it, mate.
You would have had a close and intimate relationship, you two. You've seen some evidence on the screen today. You know about Fitz's track record with the All Blacks. What would you have said to him if you had both run out in the tunnel together?
Well, as I remember, I saw him marking Andy Hayden once, and I think you might have won, Fitz.
I think I did.
I could bet you nowadays you wouldn't have yet come bloody second.
And I will say this, Sir Colin, had you threatened me at the time, I would have said, I'm sorry, sir, there'll be no further problems.
Peter's been kind enough to enlighten us on David Campese and his innuendos and eccentricities. But what about in your All Black teams, Colin? Were wingers and the show ponies out wide frowned upon, or were they okay?
Oh, most of them were okay, but then they were the superstars, as Fitzy's told us about. And I can remember playing with Brian Williams when I was an old Blacker in 1970, and we were playing in South Africa, and he was 19. And he was so good. He'd get the ball, he'd get to the corner, and then he'd try and beat fellas on the way to the goalpost. I'd come up and I'd say, "You put that ball on the ground or I'll kick your ass." But he was one of the greatest I've ever played with.
Certainly a sharp player. Titch, in your coaching career, the relationship you had with Eric Rush, we were talking at the table about it, 13 years as your captain. I don't think there's been a coach-captain relationship like that in rugby union history ever. He says he was 39 and still not 39 and still not allowed an ice cream. But the relationship you had with him in particular, how special was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, Eric Rush was probably the best captain that I've ever had anything to do with in terms of building relationships over a huge period of time. And at 39 years of age, he was still winning the big tests, and it was quite amazing, really. But as we all know, that Rush is a very, very funny guy, and obviously humour and a lot of wit sort of make quite special within our team, because the culture in the All Black Sevens team is unbelievable, really, and Rushy was a big part of that. And even now, if he was to come along to one of our trainings, it's like he's never ever left the team, and just a great guy. And certainly, as I said, if you've got a great captain-coach relationship, it goes a long way to doing well.
I'll just add to that. Eric is a great friend of mine, and he is a great ambassador for New Zealand in Australia. He's he's the best speaker in New Zealand, and I think he's the best rugby speaker in the world. And a couple of times he's done charities gigs for me in Australia for Next. He's a fantastic man. And my favourite Eric Rush story, he talked about the All Blacks going to Buckingham Palace in 1992, and he talked about growing up in New Zealand in the 1970s. The Queen of England was everywhere, on the postage stamps, on the banknotes, on the whole thing, up on the wall. And he said, the Queen of England comes through the curtains of Buckingham Palace, and she's got a handbag. And he thought to himself, why has she got a handbag? She's at home. You know, where's she got to go? And he said, he shook her hand, and he said, I'd seen this woman all my life on the postage stamps. I was not sure whether I should shake her by the hand or lick her on the back of the head.
That's not true. Eric Rush was too fine a guy to say something as stupid as that.